How's it going, folks? I'm Cody Campbell with High Ground Gaming. Today we are unboxing and reviewing the Audio-Technica ATH-M50xSTS-USB, or as they call it, the StreamSet. I'm going to start by walking you through the specs, then I'll open it up, let you take a look at what comes inside. After that, we'll go to the review portion where I'll give you my thoughts on it, and then we'll go to High Ground Gaming's final score. Stick around. So there are two versions of this headset. There is an analog version which has three different kinds of inputs. It can be used with XLR, it can be used with a 3.5 millimeter connection, or a 1/4 inch connection. And then there's this one, which is the digital edition, and that can either be used with a USB Type A connection or a USB Type C connection. They decided to send us the digital edition, so that's the one they're going to be covering. There's a couple of features that this has that the analog one doesn't, so if you're more interested in the analog one, you should definitely look up its feature set and make sure that it has all the things that you're looking for. This is a closed back headset with 45 millimeter drivers, and it has a frequency response of 15 to 29,000 hertz. It's completely plug and play. It comes with two different kinds of swappable ear pads, but the big feature that this has that Audio-Technica is really proud of is that it uses their 20 series microphone. That is a cardioid condenser microphone that has a flip to mute feature, and the digital edition has a built-in monitor so you can listen to your own voice while you're talking if you want to. That's about it for the specs though. Why don't we go ahead and open it up? All right, we've got the quick start guide right on top here. Now, it looks like in this little side pocket is where they have the secondary ear pads. These ones seem to be like a really nice leatherette fabric. Let's see what the ones they put on the headset are like. So this is really cool, the way they let this fold up. I have actually not really seen this design before. That's super cool. Makes it really easy to travel with, I imagine. All right, so it looks like the ear cups that come on it are leatherette on the sides, but they have this mesh on the inside. Mesh is supposed to be better for breathability, but the downside to mesh is that I personally find it to be a little bit scratchy, a little coarse feeling on the skin. It's especially bad for me because I don't have hair back here, so this is just rubbing right on my scalp, but it might not bother some people. Some people might prefer the breathability. Personally, I prefer the softness. It's really nice that Audio-Technica offers both though. I just think it's super cool how it folds up like this though. I keep kind of geeking out about it. It's almost like an Autobot or something like that. Feels like an old toy that transforms. All right, we've got a nice rubber cable here. Some people tend to prefer braided cables. I personally think rubber is better on a headset because rubber tends to insulate sound, so it doesn't travel up your shirt so much, where braided cables tend to like make some scratching noises on your shirt when you're moving around and stuff. We've got the headset here with the flip to mute. It does have like a nice satisfying click to it when it goes up, locking in place. It's not gonna slide up and down or anything like that. The microphone seems to have a very, very small internal pop filter on the inside there, whereas the rest of it is more just sort of encased in this plastic. Then behind the microphone, we have the monitor dial, and it's not so much a spinning dial as it is like a switch that goes back to the center, and you just sort of press and hold when you want it to go up or when you want it to go down. You can also push it in and out to just turn the monitor on or off. There does not seem to be a volume dial, however, so it seems like the volume has to be controlled externally. There isn't one on the cable or on the headset itself, so that's interesting, something to keep in mind. I do like the design though. There's all these moving parts. The ear cups rotate back and forth. They rotate in and out, up and down. They have this really nice design on the side here that looks very sleek, very professional. It says Audio-Technica across the top. The inner bar has that leatherette, which is really nice, and just a little thin layer of memory foam. It's not super cushy, but I think it's all right. Let's try it on. That is a really comfortable and really sturdy headset. I actually really like the way that this feels on my head. I am probably gonna swap the ear cups out because again, these feel just a little bit scratchy, but other than that, it feels real nice. There's not too much pressure on the top of my head or anything like that. I think these are gonna be nice to wear while gaming. But we're gonna have to test it out, see what this microphone sounds like, see what games sound like coming out of this headset, and we'll be right back with the review portion. Okay, now I've spent some time with the Audio-Technica StreamSet, and I've got some stuff to say about it, but first, like and subscribe if you haven't already. Okay, I'm gonna start off by talking about the build quality. First of all, it's not a heavy headset. It's very lightweight, which is really good for those longer sessions because heavy headsets can sort of bear down on the top of your head. The flip side is that I do think that it clamps just a little too tight on the sides of the head. I would prefer if it was a little bit looser. That might be something that maybe breaks in over using it for a really long period. It might loosen up over time, but there's no way of knowing that until I've used this for like a year, and I only used it for about a month before shooting this video. The joints on the side here look and feel sturdy. There's a nice smooth range of rotation, but they don't feel loose and like jiggly either. They're pretty secure. And I definitely decided that I do like the leatherette ear cups a lot better than the mesh. Personally, I don't find mesh particularly comfortable. I know it breathes better, but for me, I prefer softness to breathability. But again, it's really nice that Audio-Technica gives people the option. Also, here's something that I think I sort of overlooked during the unboxing section. The adjustability has this metal inner bar, and it has these notches, which makes it real easy to match it on both sides. So you can put it at notch 2 for both of them, and then you'll know that they're nice and even. They also click into place, so they're pretty secure once they're in there. They're not gonna be sliding around as you're trying to put them on or anything like that. They'll pretty much hold in whatever position you want them in, which I enjoy. My only other complaint about the build quality is that this upper headband doesn't have a whole heck of a lot of padding on it, and the edges are actually a little bit firm. It's not really uncomfortable, but as I was wearing it, I could definitely tell, I think Audio-Technica definitely could stand to put a little bit more padding in there. I think that would make it a little bit more comfortable, but it's not bad as it is. Now let's move on to audio quality. I played the new Resident Evil 4 remake while wearing these, and I had a just great time with it. The music was fantastic. That spooky ambiance came through very clearly. The gunshots had a lot of oomph to them, if you know what I mean. And in terms of directionality, I did have a fairly easy time telling what direction the enemies were coming from and stuff like that. It wasn't the best I've ever experienced, but it was pretty decent. It was definitely one that you could work with. The audio itself sounds pretty crisp too. It's very balanced. The highs and mids are very balanced. The bass is maybe a little bit heavy, but I like that. I like when the bass comes in hard, and I think it sounded very, very good. I am still a little bit bummed that there isn't a volume dial on the headset itself. You have to change it through the computer or whatever the system is that you're using, which I think is a little bit of a pain. I just use the dial on my keyboard, but still, I always find it easier when there's just a dial on the headset. That's what I usually use when I'm gaming, and not having it on this headset was kind of a bummer for me personally. The last thing is that there's no virtual surround sound. Virtual surround sound, I know, is a little bit of a contentious topic anyway. Some people really love virtual surround sound, some people hate it. This one doesn't have it, so if that's a deal breaker for you, now you know. Now we're moving on to mic quality, and honestly, I think that is this headset's best feature. Here's a clip of me testing it out. All right, here's a quick audio test for the Audio-Technica StreamSet microphone. We're just trying to figure out whether or not this sounds good. Let's take a look. Designed for streamers and content creators, the ATH-M50xSTS StreamSet is the world's first professional streaming headset that combines the legendary studio sound of the ATH-M50X headphones with the clarity of the iconic 20 series microphones. That's this. Equipped with a cardioid condenser microphone, 2 distinct earpad styles that you can use according to your preference, the headset delivers the ultimate studio quality sound for you and your streaming audience. This is what it sounds like when I get really loud, And this is what it sounds like when I speak very quietly. Honestly, this is probably the best sounding headset mic that I've ever listened to. I know that Corsair, I think it's Corsair, has one called like the Virtuoso or something that's supposed to be really good, but it's hard to imagine a headset mic actually being better than this. This sounds at least as good as like the Rode Lav mic that I use for most of my videos. It's very clean, it's very crispy, not a lot of extra noise. I think that this is content creation quality good. I think you could do voiceover for videos on YouTube, stuff like that. It's definitely good enough for streaming. I'm actually very impressed with the microphone. So, as you can probably tell from that video, this thing has a nice, smooth pickup. The audio comes through is very, very clear. It has none of that tinniness that I usually associate with headset mics. No crackling, not a lot of cutting out or anything like that. It sounded really, really good. In fact, this is the only headset mic that I've ever tested that I think could work for content creation, which of course is what it was designed for. That's why it's called the StreamSet. Also, having mic monitoring built in is very, very cool if mic monitoring is something that you care about, because there are ways to monitor your own microphone through software and stuff like that. But when you're doing that, the signal has to travel from your mouth down the cord to the computer, where it's then processed by the software, then sent back through the cord up to your headset. And while that can happen in milliseconds, there's still a certain amount of latency, right? There's a certain amount of time between when you say it into the microphone and when it travels all the way back to the ear cups, through the speakers, and into your ears. By having a monitoring system built directly into the headset, you are eliminating a majority of that latency. And I usually find monitoring through software completely intolerable. This is the first time I've had a monitoring system as part of a headset design that I've actually enjoyed, that wasn't distracting and made it difficult for me to talk without being distracted by the sound of my own voice coming in half a second later. This was pretty great, and I think that's a big selling point for this as well. That's about it for the features though, so let's get down to the verdict. So the Audio-Technica ATH-M50xSTS-USB MSRP's at $229. I probably don't need to tell you that is quite expensive for a wired headset. In fact, I'm off the top of my head can't think of any other wired headsets that go that high. Usually the headsets that are in that $200+ range are wireless headsets, and the reason they're that expensive is because of the built-in battery, which this does not have. The main reason that this costs that price is because of the microphone, and it's actually kind of reasonable. It is still on the expensive side in my opinion, but when you take into account that this sounds about as good as most mid to upper mid-range USB microphones in general, it suddenly makes a lot more sense that it's priced that way. You could probably buy a decent gaming headset and a pretty good USB mic for around the same price as this, and you'll probably get around the same level of quality in both. And there are advantages to that, like being able to upgrade each one separately. That said, there are also advantages to having the mic be part of the headset, for having this all-in-one solution. First of all, you don't need to take up extra space on your desk with adding a boom arm or even just having the microphone itself sitting on the desk. If you have a small space, this is pretty awesome for that. Then there's the mobility of it. If you want to take it somewhere, it's a lot easier to just take a headset, especially one that folds up like this. Finally, that mic monitoring feature, again, is pretty unique. I haven't used a lot of headsets that have had something like that built in, at least not gaming headsets. And that's very, very cool. And for people who care about that, it's something that this is, you know, one of the only things out there that probably offers that solution. So keeping all that in mind, we decided to give this a 4.2 out of 5. Of course, it would get a much higher score if it was more affordable, but at 4.2 feels like a solid score. Like I said, it clamps a little too tight. The head bar could be a little more comfortable, but it's solidly built overall. And in terms of the audio and the microphone quality, it's up there. It's one of the better headsets on the market, gaming headsets specifically. I think that this is something that a lot of people will like. I also like that it has a sort of pseudo-professional look to it. Like, if you have a job and you have to get on a conference call or something like that, you're not gonna look super gamery in this. You would look very professional. Your audio would come through nice and clear. And then later on, you could stream on Twitch or Kick or what have you, and you'll still sound great. So there are a lot of pros to this, and I could definitely see why this has a place on the market. Why don't you go ahead and drop down into the comments and let us know what you think. Is $220 just too expensive for a wired headset no matter what the benefits are? Or do you think that's a reasonable price for something that offers these kinds of features? While you're at it, please like and subscribe if you haven't already. We have a lot more content coming real soon, and we hate for you to miss any of it. All right, everyone. Thanks for watching. Happy gaming.